how much is that pressure, that fiduciary financial pressure to stay open and that belief that if we stay true to our mission, we are gonna close? How often do you think, presidents and boards at Christian colleges and universities are thinking that way or get to that point where that's what they believe?
I've been a part of a gathering of Christian college presidents who have talked quite extensively about this. And
Mm,
of the five institutions that are represented in that group, we've been the only one that has said, in fact, and this is where, I talk about our board, I talk about, some of our donors, I talk about, we even went through the exercise with our board to say, what are we going to be willing to shut our doors for? What commitments
mhm.
are we going to be willing to say, we'll close the doors over this? And so, we've went through an exercise a number of years ago where we said, no, we will remain resolutely committed to our mission, regardless of what happens. And if that means that Spring Arbor University no longer exists, then Spring Arbor University no longer exists. Because if what we do is we give up the mission and that commitment to Christ is the perspective for learning, the commitment that we have and the desire to educate for Christ and for his kingdom, to train up extraordinarily gifted men and women academically and within their disciplines who are grounded in their faith, who can go into the workplace around the world and through their excellence earn the right to speak truth to a world that desperately needs to know of Christ's redemption and reconciliation. If we give up those, who cares if Spring Arbor exists?
Mm,
We're no different than, we're vanilla in the landscape of higher ed. Everybody else is doing the same thing. So what
right.
makes, is it Spring Arbor? And so, in fact, I've done some writing on this. I say, Spring Arbor it's not our buildings. It's not our enrollment. It's not the endowment. It's not our faculty. It's not our staff. It's not these things. Spring Arbor is the mission. Spring Arbor is this commitment, that the idea and the thought that a thoroughly and an unapologetically Christ-centered education can transform lives for eternity and prepare people to go out and impact the world for Christ.
Mhm.
That's what Spring Arbor University is. And so if we change that mission, there may still be people that come to this institution that's called Spring Arbor, but it's no longer Spring Arbor. It's not Spring Arbor any longer. What makes Spring Arbor is that total commitment to Jesus Christ as the perspective for learning. And if that ever changes, then no, we're no longer Spring Arbor. We're just an institution that has students that come and attend classes and go to school at a geographic location that once was Spring Arbor. And so we say we'd rather close. And so I think that type of conversation has to happen at the highest level of an institution to say, what are we willing to close our doors over?
Mhm.
And when you come to this idea of the fiduciary responsibility and component, I think those colleges and universities that I've had those conversations with, and I know I'm not going to give you the names of these institutions. I know these presidents they have a good heart. They desire, for their institutions to be successful. I don't doubt the validity of their faith commitment, but I think what they're convinced of is that their job is to preserve the academic function of that university in that locality rather than to preserve the academic function centered around that mission of unapologetically Christ-centered education. And
Mm,
I think you flip the priority there. So I think that kind of work and intentionality has to be embedded within your culture, from your board to the executive staff, administrative staff, through the faculty, in order to not get to the place where you have those questions around fiduciary responsibility.
mhm.
You still have to wrestle through fiduciary responsibility, but you're never going to make a decision and a choice then that says, okay, because we think it's prudent fiscally, we're going to shift. And what's interesting to see then, and I think this is wonderful, I think the institutions that have stayed faithful have been the ones that have done great, and the ones that have abandoned their faith commitments are the ones that are struggling fiscally, right? That's what's happening. Some of those that are really working hard to stay true to
Mhm.
mission,
Mhm.
almost all of those institutions are doing well, and
Mm.
And the ones that are abandoning their faith commitments or abandoning their missions because of a fiduciary fear are the ones who then increasingly, again, have no compelling niche in their white noise within the academy. Why would you go to institution X when you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down to Y available to you, probably at less cost? And so you wouldn't, right? But I would maybe go to this place, Spring Arbor University, because what they do is unique and different within all of the institutions in that region. And so I think that's the fidelity has actually led to greater fiduciary stability.
Mhm.
So that's been kind of a neat thing to see.
So it's not necessarily true, and you're seeing evidence that it's actually not true, that
Right.
that sh
Right.
it's a false choice of
It's a
needing
false narrative.
to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The idea that you abandoning your faith commitment makes you more relevant to the marketplace, that gives you more ability to attract students from diverse backgrounds is actually not true within the broader market.